Hello everybody, welcome back to another chess video, and today we are doing the Halloween's Gambit on Halloween. It seems only appropriate. And so let's get right into it. So the Halloween Gambit starts off with the 4 Knights opening. If you don't know what that is, there's a link in the description for more info about it. I actually made a video on it actually just 2 days ago, not last week. Anyways, the signifying move is Knight captures e5, and this weird move, I guess this is why it's called the Halloween's Gambit, because it's scary. For black, it seems like white's just giving up a free piece right here. So once black takes, it will lead to a little bit of an advantage for white, but it's definitely not something you want to try on tournament level, because this generally does not work out. I only suggest trying this against people like your friends or maybe a coach, or probably not a coach, but someone that you want to catch off guard, and definitely like maybe in a blitz game or something like that, where they won't have too much time to actually think about it, and maybe they'll mess up. So anyways, after knight takes, really quick thing I want to mention, if they play something weird and they're like, oh, I'm not going to take it, haha, I'll catch you off guard, well then after some variation like this, it won't always end up like this, what you can tell is white's ahead of pawn, and white will be able to play something like d4, solidifying the center. Meanwhile, black has two pawns together on the c file. It really isn't too pretty for black here, so I don't suggest not taking it for black. There really is no reason to, but in case you see something like that, then just take advantage of it, and don't worry too much about it if they just don't take, and that's great for you. So once they take, you'll play d4, and we're going to focus on two variations, one that's a bit simpler, knight g6 and knight c6. Now we're first going to look at knight g6. After this is played, then you'll follow up with e5, pushing the knight out. As you can see, the knight cannot actually go anywhere else. It's actually kind of stuck to the g8 square. So after knight does g8, bishop c4 is played, and the whole hopes is putting a whole bunch of pressure on f7 square, in whatever means you can, bringing the queen out, bishop out, trying to bring the other bishop out somehow. Not so sure. However you can somehow play this, you want to do this before black can obviously open up. That's the whole point of the game. Otherwise, if you make it to the end game, you will be down a piece, which will be a huge disadvantage. For black, I suggest just playing d5, which looks bad because then white can just take. But after c6, white will be forced to retreat, most likely to the b3 square, and now you have the momentum to move your bishop out. So if they decide not to go to g6 and instead they choose to go to c6, now this is where things can get complicated. You will see pawn d5 being played, and one quick thing I want to mention, what a lot of people, and I suggest as well, is actually to go bishop b4. Now it looks like you're just sacrificing your pawn, your knight right here, and white will most likely take the knight, but after you take with the pawn right here, the queen may try to do something like fork the two pieces, and this actually then allows the queen to come out, and as you can see, this is threatening. If white chooses to take, then you'll just get a discovered attack right here, check. So obviously white wants to do something about this. Now two things that I've seen played is queen captures g7, and if you see this happen, that's fine, just continue taking. And if once bishop comes out, because obviously this is a check in case you didn't see here, after bishop blocks, knight can come out, and something like pawn played, the bishop can now sacrifice itself, and once this happens, the rook can move over. Now if queen doesn't go g7, let's say this scenario, they instead decide to block immediately, preventing the queen from getting that discovered attack. That is fine. You'll take anyways, and after pawn takes, bishop moves back, pawn takes, bishop takes, and as you can see, once again equal material, but now white has these two isolated pawns doubled on the c file. Meanwhile, black has two really strong bishops, and I don't know what that arrow was, two really strong bishops, as well as the opportunity castle on each side. Meanwhile, white still has to activate one of their bishops, so it's pretty good position for black if this happens for you. Anyways, let's say you're playing as white, and after pawn pushes up, they decide to move their knight perhaps to e5. That's fine. You'll follow up with f4. As you can see, these 3 pawns really starting to become pretty strong and try to make up for that one piece they lost. Now after knight moves back somewhere to g6, then pawn will push up to e5, knight moves back, and just one quick thing I want to mention, the only piece black has out right now is this knight, which started on the b8 square and ended on the g6 square. Meanwhile, although white is down a piece, they have their knight out, opportunity to activate both their bishops and these strong pawns. So quite the advantage. You just have to make sure to make the most of this advantage. Obviously, if you don't, then and black gets the opportunity to activate, then it'll be an easy win for black since they are up a piece. However, after here, you'll play d6, and after these 2 pawns take. Now, this is your strong pawn. You don't want black to activate, and this is going to be the way that you can make it as long as possible for black. This single pawn prevents the bishop from coming out, the knight from coming to e7, the other knight from coming to e7, queen from coming to e7 or c7. It also prevents the d7 pawn from activating, which prevents the bishop from coming out. So this single pawn does so much for you. You have to make sure this pawn is the strong point. And so anyways, after here, you want to obviously put a check right here and force the the black to put out a bishop or a knight. So you will see the queen come out so the king can move over to d8 in emergency scenarios. So you might see the queen come to a5, and we're going to look at this one first. Here you'll follow up with bishop e3, knight comes out, queen comes out, obviously threatening to do some discovered attack with like moving the bishop over here. So from here you can see the queen coming over to h5. This happens, then you can actually just trade, and this knight is really strong, as you can see, threatening to do a fork. If the king comes over, that's fine. You'll castle as well, and now obviously you have the threat of bringing your bishop out, bringing it back for a check, making your knight come here, leaving the rook with no spaces. Lots of opportunities in this position, and so make sure you take advantage of them. So after the queen, after you move your queen over, they may decide just to move the king to d8. If this happens, that's also fine. You'll just castle, and then this still has the same threats as later. You can still bring your knight out later and stuff like that. Now here you can also see queen come to f6. If this happens, then what you could actually notice is when queen was on a5, it was actually pinning the knight, so the knight couldn't come out. So when the queen came to f6, the knight now has the opportunity to come out, and once the king moves over, obviously to prevent the fork from happening, once the king comes over, then you bring your bishop out to e3. Now, one quick thing I want to mention, from here on out, you'll start bringing out threats, trying to castle queen side, making sure that you keep an eye, just be aware that this f2 pawn, or b2 pawn, at the moment is unprotected. One thing I want to mention, if they play something like b6, then that is perfectly okay. You can actually bring your queen out and castle here, or you can even just at the moment take the pawn, because what you can notice is if they take, then you'll just take right here. So pretty good position. Overall, the Halloween's game, there's a lot that can go on. Tried to go a little bit into detail. I didn't have too much time to work on this video, as you probably noticed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helped a bit, and peace out.